Hello, my name is Jayrod, and welcome back to another video from us here at Superliminal Films. I'd like to quickly explain what this video is. When we first started Filmfaker's commentary, we just wanted to record our own commentary track over movies that we liked. It was fun, but all we were doing was recording our audio over us watching the movie, and only posting the audio to YouTube.
Carlsberg. That's one I can never
Do
find.
they still make Royal Crown Cola?
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Or I'm sure they do.
They do.
Look at this poor-ass muzzled dog. Fuck the person who muzzled that dog, by the way.
You get to see him here in a second.
I know.
That was good, but we couldn't really have it be consumable, because then people would have to line up the movie with our audio track, and it didn't really make it something people could enjoy that much, so we decided to go a different way. We started just taking scenes, like 3 to 5 minute clips of movies, and we would talk over those. And we would include the video without the original audio on YouTube.
This episode, we are going to be talking about a sequence from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
What is that?
Anybody who has been following
What is
our...
it?
What is The Secret of the Ooze?
Yeah, what's the secret?
It's that the ooze will make...
Secret. Oh,
sorry. Anyone who's been following our content for a while will be able to tell you that Jayrod is a huge fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he suggested that we do this sequence, which is the introduction of Tokka and Rezar as fighting machines.
Yes, because they've already been introduced to the audience as, juvenile creatures that were made big.
Babies. They are babies.
Yeah, they were babies.
As Shredder says. We've got the film queued up to 48 minutes and 30 seconds, which is where Michelangelo is tied to... Raphael, wrong turtle, is tied to a post, and the other turtles are coming to rescue him.
here we go.
There we go. The rescue is in action.
And of course, Donatello, always the analytical one, is talking about how it seems like there's a trap, and it's probably going to happen right about now.
And that brought us quite a bit of success. We were very happy with some of our videos' performances with that. But then we kept running into the issue of copyright strikes. It's the bane of most people's existence when they talk about these kind of video essay things. But Max didn't want to give up, so he came up with a way of getting around things. I'll cut to Video Max talking about that now.
My name is Dan.
Jayrod.
Max.
And we are here to talk to you about a film scene, because that's what Filmfaker's commentary is. But it's different now than it ever has been before. Max, why don't you tell them why it's different?
Yeah, so you can see probably right now that it looks a little different than the way we've been doing it with the poster up front and then cut to the scene itself. 2 reasons we're changing it. One, we want to talk a little bit more about having an idea about the scene, not just, man, the scene's really sweet. We want to actually have something interesting, hopefully a little bit more interesting to talk to with you all about. And we also don't want to keep getting copyright strikes on YouTube for using scenes from movies.
Ooh, copyright strikes.
Oh my God. Way harder than I
Yay,
thought it would be.
copyright law. Boo, copyright strikes.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a real fine dance that we're doing with previous Filmfakers. So we figured this was better. It gives us a chance to be more visually interesting and hopefully morph what was Filmfakers into a video essay.
We haven't recorded anything for a while, though, for Filmfakers. Mostly because we haven't recorded anything together since the first quarter of 2020. So that brings us to now. And I had an idea for a topic, wanted to cover it, and rather than try to get everyone together, even remotely, I just decided to try to tackle it myself. So, welcome back to Filmfaker's commentary. So today, I wanted to talk about tenured fandom. And you may be saying, wait, that's not a thing. I've never heard of that. You would be right, at least as far as I could find. I was trying to think of a way to describe what it is I was thinking in a flashy 1 or 2 word phrase. So I came up with that. What I mean by tenured fandom is when something that is a large part of a film's plotline is like just an Easter egg. But it's an Easter egg the size of a train car. And the thing that made me think of this is the trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home. Obvious spoiler warning. So I'm not going to sit here and review the entire trailer. It came out a couple months ago at this point. Everyone's already broken it down as far as they need to. But I did want to obviously talk about the idea that Alfred Molina is back as the same character, Dr. Octopus. Like the same iteration, even. Not just him playing the character again, but in the MCU, but him playing the Spider-Man 2 villain in the new movie.
Hello, Peter.
That's obviously weird, but fans, like me, have been going crazy for this. So, it's completely unexpected, and wild to think what that could mean for other legacy Marvel movies, like all the X-Men films. What could happen with those characters? Easier to bring them into the MCU now, maybe. Who knows? The issue, however, is my newly named Tenured Fandom. There are a lot of Spider-Man fans who were not alive when that Spider-Man 2 came out with Alfred Molina. So they don't know why he's so important to the plot line or to the story in general. They just think, oh, cool, it's a guy with metal arms. That's neat. So this begs the question, is it worth committing important plot details to something that's more there for longtime fans? So the truth is that almost any movie or television episode could be someone's first experience with that IP. Something that we discussed in episode 202 of Poorman's Process was the concept of intertextuality. It's a topic that in the episode we talk about being covered by a YouTube page called Nerd Writer. And in that video, they define it as objects, people, or situations explicitly meant to trigger an emotional response. In their video, they kind of use the example of Khan's reveal in Star Trek Into Darkness, Blofeld in Spectre, and the Millennium Falcon showing up in The Force Awakens. So there's a lot to go into with those reveals, and they're meant to make you feel like something very important is happening. But for some people, Force Awakens was their first Star Wars movie, so they may have been like pop culturally exposed to what the Millennium Falcon was, but in the movie, it's just like, it's a ship, it's a piece of junk, and they're forced to fly it. Oh, that's bad. Max actually breaks this down even more so as a puppet.
This is Superliminal Films, the podcast.
Welcome to Superliminal Films podcast, Poor Man's Process. Dan is gone. He'll be gone for a little while.
And we've all gone to hell.
Paul's taking things in a very strange direction.
Welcome.
Welcome indeed. So we'll kick it off with what we're talking about tonight, and that is the subject of intertextuality. It is a really good and smart thing, but it is disappointing. It almost makes you feel like you get duped when it's used poorly, where you're just like, damn it, I'm such a sap. You know what I mean? Like the Millennium Falcon scene's a great example, where it's just like this huge, like you said, orchestral swell. Everything happens around this reveal. And if you hadn't seen this movie, you'd be like, what the hell? So, okay. Why is this important? They're going to get off the planet? Is that why there's an orchestral swell? I don't understand.
I understood, but it's more questions like, why is it here?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same with the R2 when he pulls the thing off R2. It's like, why did they have a sheet over him?
Yeah. I'm sick of looking at this.
Poor R2.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean,
he did it to himself.
Well, look, man.
Even weirder. How'd he do that?
Paul, let's just throw this out there. You got an old friend. Old friend is comatose, but a robot at the same time, you're like, man, it makes me sad every time I look at him. I'm going to just throw a sheet over him. He's a robot. He's not going to notice.
Wheel him into a closet or something.
I think that's supposed to be that. But I agree. It just doesn't make why throw a sheet over an astromech
So it can be a
droid.
reveal. It's like, it's a droid. It's not doing anything. It's sitting there.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have just as easily
Don't want him to get dusty.
Yeah.
That could have just as easily been you pan and you follow BB-8 and he goes, whoop, 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 whoop. Hey, look, he bumped right into R2. Hey, there's R2.
Yeah, it
Have
would
a
have
nice
made
day.
more sense because he's trying to talk to him. It's like, he had a sheet over him, dude.
Yeah. Now you realize you're yelling at a robot.
That robot's smarter than me.
So what I realized is that for those fans who aren't fully aware of the history of the characters and settings of these franchises, these moments are lost on them. It almost seems unfair to some of the audience that they don't get to have some of the enjoyment about a scene or the entire plot point. Sometimes these moments get explained or defined within the movie itself. Rey and then Han Solo kind of break down the history of the Millennium Falcon and the Jedi and Luke Skywalker. So people who are familiar with the franchise already know it, but perhaps people that don't really know it that well get an idea of there's a history behind the ship that they're on. In Star Trek Into Darkness, Leonard Nimoy's Spock went into detail about being very careful of Khan, indicating that Spock had a history with the character of Khan. And for some people who didn't really even know about the original series of movies or the original television series of Star Trek and only started watching when, J.J. Abrams took over, it wasn't really that important, but it kind of indicated that there was a history. Then there are other times when a big reveal isn't explained, and it could cause confusion or maybe even miss the mark. Katie Sackhoff, playing Bo-Katan in The Mandalorian, after voicing that character in Clone Wars and in Star Wars Rebels, was an astounding reveal for a lot of people who had history with those shows and have been trying to keep up with all of the canon of Star Wars. But there's a lot of people who were just like, oh, cool, it's Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica. And they didn't know that actress had such a deep history with Star Wars and with this specific character. And to go from voicing it to playing it in live action was something astounding. Practically unheard of.
I am Bo-Katan of Clan Kryze. I was born on Mandalore and fought in the Purge.
WandaVision, another example, when Evan Peters shows up as Pietro, as in Quicksilver, a character he had played in the X-Men movies. A lot of fans were mind blown that this could be the way they introduced that character and those other X-Men characters into the MCU. It turns out it wasn't exactly the case, but that's okay. But there were some people who may have not seen the X-Men movies who were just like, that's just some random guy pretending to be Pietro. What is going on with that? That seems kind of dumb.
Long lost bro, get to squeeze his stinking sister to death or what?
She recast Pietro?
So it seems easy to guess that when Doc Ock and however many other characters may show up in No Way Home, they won't go into explaining that they played those characters previously. Moreover, that they are possibly those exact same characters. And not just the new version of the act with the same actor. So the question remains, is it worth the use of intertextuality to an extent that it becomes the plot, and in that case, for what I'm calling tenured fandom, to become so important to the movie that you're making? Part of me absolutely loves these Easter eggs, and it's even more fun for me when Easter eggs take over the plot, but that's not the point of using Easter eggs. Seeing connections to other things are a huge part of why I enjoy the MCU and the Star Wars franchises, where they can meld things like that together. Overall, though, it's like the old saying goes. if you have to explain the joke, or in these cases the connections, it's not as funny or meaningful. Over-explaining connections, like in Force Awakens, can decrease the impact of the reveal for longtime fans. Not explaining can put the risk forward that new fans won't notice or care. Casual fans might be confused as to if a character is the same version or a different version from, like, Evan Peters playing Pietro. And diehard fans who know all about the history and dig for every Easter egg and interconnection within a franchise will be forced to make YouTube videos explaining the things that you may have missed. Anyway, make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube. Give us a like. Drop a comment below if there's any examples that we may have missed, or if there's any topics you want us to try to cover here. We're also on Facebook and Instagram at Superliminal Films, and on Twitter at SuperliminalFLM, because films was too long for their evil character limits. Goodbye!